Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you from the DeKalb County Library System. And we have another tutorial for you today. And I have something that is kind of a little pet project that I've been wanting to do for a while. Now that, oh, by the way, please forgive my sweatshirt. The temperature has taken a nosedive here in Georgia, and I'm cold. That's the only excuse I have. So I just popped a sweatshirt on over my shirt. I started putting a little scarf on, but I thought they won't be fooled. So just wear the sweatshirt and let the chips fall where they may. So anyway, we have another tutorial, and now that it has gotten a little chillier, I mean, I am a layers person. I love layers. I love sweaters, and I've been pulling out my heavier jewelry that is just too much to wear during the spring and summer months and just going to town. And I have this one necklace that every time I wear it, I get compliments. It's this. It's very bohemian, and very just mixed up. It's one of my favorite things because it has all kinds of colors, just dangles and beads, and really every time I put it on, somebody makes a comment about it. I just love it. And I wanted to kind of emulate that a little bit. By the way, I did not make this. I don't know where I got it. I've had it forever, and it's just one of my favorite pieces. So I want to just show you how to do that. It's 5 strands or 6 strands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strands. So we have a 5-strand necklace coming up. The difference that we're going to make is that we're going to mix it up a little bit. I wanted to make it a little more mixed media. So we're going to have some strands that are strung and some strands that are wired. So that's what we're going to do today. So what we're going to need is, and I mixed up my wires too. I didn't use all the same color wire. I used bronze, silver, and copper wire, just so I could really make it a bohemian piece. So 20 gauge wire is what you'll need for your wire wrapping part of the beads. You'll need regular stringing wire. Some people use fishtail wire, or just any kind of strong beading wire is what you'll need for the strung parts. You will need crimp beads to finish the ends of the strung wire. And I do believe I said 20 gauge wire, any color or colors that you would like. We're doing a little extender chain. I'm just really kind of doing the same thing I have on this because I really like this little extender chain. So you'll need a little bit of chain that you can use so that you can fasten it anyway along the chain and make it longer or shorter to your heart's desire. You will also need your regular pliers, round nose, square nose, come back here, square nose, or cutters. You'll need a ruler to measure. And for this kind of project, I would suggest using a bead board. I can't turn it up because it's got beads on it, but I would suggest using a bead board because that way you can measure out the lengths of your wire easily. Each one on the tracks on most bead boards that I've seen are approximately an inch apart. So if you put one strand of beads in the innermost track, it'll be one size. And then if you put beads on the next track up to the same number that's on the sides, and I'll show you when we get a little closer to the other camera, it will make it an inch longer. And then the outermost track will make it another inch longer. And because my bead boards only have 3 tracks, that's where the ruler comes in. So if you start with 16-inch, you can go to 17 and then 18, and then you can use your ruler to measure out your next chain length, which should be 18 if you're going to keep it, or 19 if you're going to keep it in an even succession of 1 inch per strand. I hope that made a lot of sense. But bead board, that would be a good thing to have for this project, or a ruler. You don't have to use a bead board. Either or is fine, but there will be a little bit of measuring so that you can make sure that your strands hang at different lengths like this. Okay, let's get started. This is going to be a fun one. And I want to get going because I do not mind having a second one of these necklaces. Not at all. Okay, so here's a close-up of this necklace. Isn't that pretty? Now this one is entirely strung. And it's got teeny tiny 2 millimeter beads on it, but I knew if I made kits with teeny tiny 2 millimeter beads, people would probably just throw out the 2 millimeter beads because they wouldn't want to have to bother with something that small. It's very small. So we're mixing it up. We're going to have some strands that are strung, some strands that are wire wrapped. I have done several strands already. Let me pull this out. I've got several strands done, and I'm going to show you how to do a strand of wire wrapped ones and a strand of strung ones so that you can get started. And then I'm going to show you how to put it all together into one nice necklace. So let me put all that to the side because that's an awful lot to look at while we're trying to work. So I'm going to show you how to do the strung part, the wrapping part first. Let's do some wrapping, and then we'll string one strand of wire. So again, I mixed up my wires. Some of my wire on the wrapped part is silver, some is copper, and some is bronze. So that's just the way I wanted to do it. If you want to do it all one color, that's fine too. And we're using 20 gauge wire. So let me pull out some beads here. I have a whole cacophony of beads, and I'm just going to show you how to add to this chain that I already have. So let's see, what do I want? Grab. Okay. Oh, big orange bead. Okay, so we're going to wrap that, and I'm going to show you how to attach it. I'm going to do 2 of them. I'm going to show you how to attach it. So I'm going to show you how to attach the ends, because what I'm doing with the ends, because on this one they had little tiny beads leading up to the clasp, I'm going to use some small beads, not that small, but I'm going to use some small beads to lead up to our clasp. So I'm going to show you though how to wrap your bead and attach it to the next bead on the strand. Okay, so let's start out. Yeah, let's move this. It's going to be in my way. So we have a bead. So what I need to do is determine how much wire I need to wrap this. Now, my rule of thumb is to give myself a good inch of wire on each side of the bead in order to make my loop and make my little wrap. So the easiest way to do that is to put your bead on, measure out 1 inch on one side. I just leave it on the spool. Measure out 1 inch on one side. I bend it at a right angle. Take my round nose pliers, slide it under the short tail of wire, like so. I only need to go down about a quarter of the way down my pliers because I don't need a huge hole, a huge loop. And then I'm going to bring that short tail of wire over and around my pliers until it meets the long tail on the other side. And I don't want to go any further than that. And then, I am so sorry, that was my phone. And then I'm going to open my pliers without taking the wire back, rotate back, clamp back down, and I'm going to bring that short tail of wire under the pliers like so. So that's what I have. And now I have a loop. So there's my little loop. And I'm going to stop there because I need to attach. So I don't want to do anything more than that. So I've got my little loop. I'm going to slide my bead up. And you can see I have my loop on top. So now I'm going to make a loop on the other side. So I'm going to bend my wire back again, same direction as the other wire is going. Measure 1 inch or 1.25 inches, whatever you're comfortable with. On the other side, snip that off. Where are my clippers? There they are. Snip it off at that inch. Grab my round nose pliers. Again, I'm going to slide my wire down until it's about 1/4 of the way down my pliers. Bring that short tail over my pliers and down to the side and where until it can't go any further because your bead is in the way. Then without taking the wire out, I'm going to open my pliers, rotate back and clamp down on top of my wire, and then bring that short tail of wire under my pliers like so. So I have another loop. So I have a loop on the top and the loop on the bottom, and this is where my wrapping and connecting comes in. So now I have some of my chain already done. So I'm going to attach this to the chain that I already have done. I'm going to take the loop that's already closed and I'm going to slide it onto the tail of wire. And down into the open loop. Like that. Then I'm going to grab my pliers. You can use either your round pliers or your square pliers, whichever you're more comfortable with. I'm going to grab the face of my loop, which is just the flat part of my loop. And I'm going to wrap that wire around the stem between my pliers and my bead. You only need 1 or 2 wraps. This is a short tail. So I'm going to bring it around once, and then I'm going to bring it around the rest of the way with my other pair of pliers because it's very short. Okay. And then I'm going to push that little tail, that little end down. Against the rest of the wrap of the wires so that it's not poking out and ready to scratch me or anything. Here we go. So that's the one side. Now I need to do another bead for the other side that I'm going to link onto this one. So I'm going to follow what happened on this one. This has a bead on it and it has little tiny beads. I'm just going to put some small beads on it, but not as small as those. So I'm just going to use some little beads that I have here just to make a little tiny link. I'm going to grab another piece of wire and I'm going to string on these little random beads. I've got 3 of them like so. Give myself about 1 inch of wire, bend my wire back. Oh, I'm near the end. Grab my round nose pliers, slide my wire down about 1/4 of the way down my pliers again. Wrap that tail around until it can't go any further. It's hanging down there along with the long tail. Without taking the wire out, open my pliers, rotate back and clamp back down. And then bring that tail of wire under my pliers. And I have a loop. Yay. I'm going to slide these beads up because they are threatening to fall off. And I'm going to do the other side. Okay, bend my wire back. Slide my wire down about 1/4 of the way down my pliers. Bring that tail over the top and down the side till it can't go any further. Open my pliers, rotate back, and pull that little tail under my pliers until I have another loop. So there's my loop on both sides. Let me see if we can get this a little clearer. A little blurred out there. So there's my little, there are my little loops on either side. So now I'm ready to wrap. Now one of these can be closed because the other one can be used to slide a closed loop into. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one up. Go ahead and wrap that tail between the beads and the wire. And again, nice short tail. And I do that because I hate wasting my wire. So I make the tail really, really short. And I know approximately an inch is enough to accommodate both my loop and my wrap. So that's what I give myself. If you're more comfortable adding a little more wire and then cutting off the end, be my guest. Whatever you're most comfortable with is what you should do. There we go. Now I'm going to slide my closed loop down into my open loop, like so. Here we go. And I'm going to close this loop up. Grab the face of my loop and wrap the tail around between the pliers and the bead, right around the stem of that wire. There we go. And again, you really only need 2 wraps in order for it to be secure. You can do more, but it's not really necessary. It depends on the look that you're going for, and also depends on the weight of the beads. These beads aren't that large or heavy, so 2 wraps is plenty. You can even get away with 1 if you want. But if you do 1, make sure it's a full wrap. Push that down, nice and close. I don't want to be scratched by my wire. Okay. Get that little tail down there. Get down there. Here we go. Nice and snug. There we go. And we are attached. Yay. I'm going to leave this open because I need to attach it to my clasp on the end. So I'm going to leave that open. Let's see what we have going on the other side. I think on the other side we have a big bead too. So I'm going to put a couple of small beads over here. So let me cut this off, see if I have enough. Do I have enough? I do believe I do, but just barely. Yep. Let's get a couple of little beads. Just a couple of little beads. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Maybe 3. Let's do 3 little beads. Yeah, that's nice. All right. See if I have enough to use 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I have enough. Just enough wire left. Ah, I love when a plan goes together nicely. Okay, slide that on, bend that back, slide my wire down about a quarter of the way down my pliers and wrap. Notice how I'm holding this. I don't want my beads to fall off. Wrap that over, and now I can go to the other side and bend that back so my beads won't fall off. Yeah. And let's make my little loop over here. Yeah, that's good. Short tail over the pliers and around and down the side, like so. Got my little loop. Bring it the rest of the way around. There we go. And same on the other side. I have to finish off my loop. I didn't do it before. Bring that around. Here's my loop. And let's attach one of these to my big bead loop. There's my closed loop. Let's slide that down into my open loop. Go on in there. And then grab the face of my open loop with my pliers. And wrap that little tail between my pliers and my beads. Wow, I had just enough for a wrap and a half, maybe two. Yes, a little further, please. And push that down, nice and snug. Snug as a bug in a rug. There, very nice. And we're leaving that open so that it'll attach to my clasp, just like on the other side. So we have two ends waiting to be attached. Now it's time for the strung part. That's going to be fun. So I've got my beading wire here, and we're just going to string some beads on. And that's fun because basically all you do is take your beads and put them on any way you want. Now, I want to make sure that my beads don't fall off. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of wire. Let me see if I have a piece of wire just sitting here somewhere. I do not, so I'll have to cut a piece. I'm just going to take a little piece of wire. Oh, look at that. There's a head pin. We'll use that. And I'm going to wrap this around it. So I'm just going to, I don't want to ruin my head pin. Oh, look at that. A piece of wire just sitting there. So what I'm going to do is just make a little loop. Just something that I can put my wire through. I'm just going to slide the end of my wire in here. And I'm just using this to hold it. That's all. Just something to keep it from moving. And I'm just going to wrap my wire around it so that my beads won't fall off. This is not technical or anything. It's just holding my wire in place. And now what I have done, again, I was telling you about my these tracks. So I have 3 rows of beads already that go up to the 9 on the outside. So my next strand needs to also go up to 9, but it needs to be the equivalent of the next track. So I can either lay it out here, or I can go ahead and put it in that last track and just make it another inch, which would be 9.5 instead of 9 or 10. I think this is my last one, so it's got to be longer. So I think I started out with 9.5, 9.5, 9.5. So that would be 9.5, 10.5, 11.5. Or 11, 9.5, 10, 10 and a half, and 11. This is my 5th strand. So it needs to be 11 inches. And guess what? 11 inches on each side. It just needs to go up to the 11 on each side. That'll be the equivalent of 22 inches. Now my next one, this strung one, is actually going to go in between. So that is going to be approximately 10 and a half inches, or up to the 10 and a half on each side. So that's what I need. So we're going to go with that. And I am just going to start putting beads on my beading wire. I'm going to start with these little tiny ones, just because I never use these, and this gives me a chance to use them. Easiest way to do that is to just poke down into the little hole. The neatest thing about these is 9 times out of 10, they land with the hole facing up, and all you need to do is stab down in the little hole and then just let them slide up. But this is as close as I'm getting with these little 2 millimeter seed beads, just like that, just like these little beads that I'm scared to put into a kit, because I know people aren't going to use them. They're going to say, I can't even see the holes in that. I'm not using it. So I'm just using them to use them up, but I'm going to give you larger seed beads and trade beads so that you don't go blind trying to put this together. That's my gift to you. All right. I think that's enough of the little ones. They're good spacers too. If you have some small beads that aren't tiny, but they're small enough that they don't get, I'm going to trade this out. They don't get the recognition that they should because they're too small and nobody notices them. Space them out with some small beads. That way, it gives them some distance from the larger beads and people can actually see them. Kind of gives them the focus that they deserve. I'm putting these slightly larger ones on first. And then I'm going to go to the little teeny tinies. I changed my mind. So let's go to some teenies. Okay, and that's what I have on the end then. Yeah, that's good. That's enough of those. So now another thing I have is these little tiny pearls that are so finely drilled that the only thing that goes through them is 24 gauge wire or beading wire, which is what I'm using today. So I am going to take advantage of that and use them. I saw on here that they had all these little tiny beads lined up. I'm going to do that with these little pearls. They're so cute. They should be used. And 24, 26, and 24 gauge artistic wire are the only things that fit through there, with the exception of beading wire. Isn't that pretty? Pretty, pretty. Okay, let's put one more of those on. And then let's see, what other beads do I want to put on here? Let's go to this one. And what else? Let's put this one on. Oh no, I have some side beads, some side drill beads that I have been really wanting to use. And on this little thing, it's got some little dangly beads hanging down. So now I have my chance and I can just put some little dangly beads on, something I wouldn't normally get a chance to do. I am doing it today. See this? All kinds of fun stuff. Neat, huh? Isn't that pretty? Yeah. Got a couple more of these little. You know what? Now I'm going to put these side beads on. Let's put this one. Isn't that neat? Now I have a little dangly bead. Yay. And then let's put another couple of beads on here. And no, not that one. Let's put this one. Yeah, that's pretty. Very pretty. These guys. Ooh, nice. And let's put a couple of chips on. Chips, chips, chips. And I noticed there's some of those on that necklace too. Every time I look at that necklace, I see something new that I didn't notice before. And I just noticed, come on, get in there. I just noticed the chips the other day. See, little chips. I mean, everything is on this necklace. It's so neat. So, so neat. Okay, let's put another little side bead on there. Yeah, let's put this one on. Okay. Okay, let's put, oh yeah, you know, let's put this. Let's put something else in between and then put another one of those. Just because. Come on. And another one of these little football shaped beads. Ooh, isn't that neat? Yes. Do I want another dangly? Not yet. Let's do crystal. Okay, and this little guy right here. Yes, a couple of these. A lot of these are nice fall colors. Ooh, I have a nice little metal bead. I like that. I like this brown pearl. A large bead on. So here's what we're shaping up to so far. This is neat. Let's put another couple of larger beads on. This wooden bead. Oh, come on, go through. There. And oh, this pretty turquoise bead. I have a couple of these little chips. Let's put those on. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. And let's put another larger bead. There we go. A couple of smaller ones. A couple of rounds. Oh, this is a gray pearl. Yeah. That's nice. Let's put another dangle bead on it. I'm loving it. Yes, I am. Let's put a little seed on there. Some bluebell bead. Wooden bead. Ooh, here's a pretty bead. Nice. Oh, I love this so far. Love, love, love. Oh, this is nice. Let's get a little metal in there. Pretty. Some orange. Turquoise. More metal. And one of the other things that I noticed on here, these metal spacers. So why not? Isn't that neat? Haha. Yes. It's a little. Ooh, isn't that pretty? There's the whole. There it is. Oh, very pretty. Very pretty, very pretty. Okay. Where are you? Where is it drilled? There it is. Myself another long bead. Neat. Yeah, let's put that on later because I already have one long bead on there. So let's go back and let's put another metal on there. This is like a metal and glass bead together. We'll put a wooden bead. That's pretty. And let's take a look and see how far I am in length. I don't want to go too crazy. Okay. 11.5 is where I'm headed. Another couple of inches to go. But isn't that pretty so far? I like it. I like it a lot. Let's give myself another couple of inches. This one jumped out at me, so I will use it. Okay. Yes. It's a pretty blue bead. And I saw a cat somewhere. I think I'll find it. Oh, it's pretty metal bead. Nice. With this pretty long round blown glass bead. This black bead is pretty too. Let's do another side drill. Ooh, a heart. Isn't that pretty? All right. It's pretty crystal. Love it. Where's the drill? Where it is? Where is it? Oh, I can't see it. This little chip. You know what? Let's put these little chips on it. I love chips. They're such a challenge if you can find where they're drilled, because they're just drilled any other way. We'll put you to the side. I'm going to go ahead and some of these vibrant colors. Ooh, these are nice. Use all of these up on here. They're just too pretty to not use. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Nice. This is gorgeous. Okay, let's see where I am in length. Again, I'm going for 11.5. And I think, oops, I think I've surpassed it just a bit. Just a bit, right there where the chips are. So I think I'm going to slide off this black one because I really like those chips. And I really like this little heart. I want the heart. Let's see where I end up here. I think that's good. Now I just need to put some little beads on the end. I had to forego the chips. That's okay. And I think I'm where I want to be. Yes, there we go. There's my strung length of strand of wire. Isn't that neat? Neat, neat, neat. Now it's time to put everything together. So now I can just take this wire off. This was just like a little placeholder. I can take that off of there because now I don't have to worry about my beads coming off because I finished stringing them. And now is where the crimp beads come in. Beads that I did not get out. Virginia, Virginia, Virginia. Okay, so I need to get a couple of crimp beads. Either right over here, or I can just grab them. All right, so the way I need to finish off my strung ends is with crimp beads. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what I need to do is take my crimps. Now you can use one crimp bead or you can use two. I always use two just because I feel like if one crimp bead breaks, then I have a second one to save the day. So I'm going to put 2 crimp beads on there. And I'm going to go ahead and close this up. I should show you how to do it the other way, but because I'm going to, let's see, what's the easiest way for me to show you since it's a mixed link. Let's see. I think I'm going to put them all on the clasp at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and close these up. So I put my crimp beads on, and then I'm going to make a little loop. I'm going to slide the tail of my wire back into my crimp beads. And I'm going to make a little loop on the end. Like so. Doesn't have to be very big, just a small loop. Then I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and I'm going to squeeze my crimp beads closed. And I try to do them both together. I just find it easier. So I'll slide down until both of my crimp beads are covered with my pliers, and I will squeeze them. So I get them as close together as possible. And squeeze. Then I take a look, see how they slid apart? I don't squeeze it all the way down because I know I might have to make some adjustments. So I leave it just enough so that I can adjust it and push the crimp beads together the way I want. And then I give them a good strong squeeze. So there that is. And then I take the tail of my wire and I slide it down into my last few beads, as many as I can slide it through. I think these little pearls, see, they're drilled so tiny that I can't even get a second strand of this thin beading wire through. So I've slid the beading wire, the tail of the beading wire down through these last beads on my strand. And then I cut off the tail. Do not cut off the main part of your wire, just the tail. And then I go to the other side and I do the same thing. Slide on 2 crimp beads, 1 and 2. Slide the tail of the end of my wire down through both crimp beads. Make a little loop. Now I want to make sure I slide it down nice and close to my beads. It doesn't have to rest tightly against them because you don't want this metal to scratch your bead up. So you can leave a tiny bit of space in there. But what I like to do to make sure that I don't have too much space is to hold it up and just kind of run my hand down the beads so that I can get rid of too much space and I don't have a big gap in my wire. Slide that down. Now I have a big loop. I'm going to pull the tail until the loop is the size that I want it. It's about 1/4 inch. It doesn't have to be huge. I have a tiny bit of space between the beads and my crimps, which is fine. Just a little bit of space. Small loop. Pull that tail until it's down to the size I want. And now I'm ready to squeeze my crimps closed. Again, I'm going to grab my square pliers, slide down until I can cover both of my crimp beads and give it a little squeeze, then check. Make sure they're positioned the way I want. If I need to make my loop smaller, go ahead and pull it now. Check it out, make sure everything's balanced. Go back in and squeeze nice and tight. And there we go. Now I can take the tail and push it down through as many of my little beads as possible on the end. See if I can get it through this side bead. This little side drilled heart. Yes, I can. It even wants to go through that big bead too. Let's see if it will. Okay. It's through there. See if I can poke it through this great big bead. Go down in there. And may have to use my pliers to manipulate it down the rest of the way. Let's keep pushing. And there it is, poking out the other side. Ah, nice. Very nice. And now I can cut that little tail off. Or you can put it down in the next bead. It's up to you. But I think that's long enough. That's far enough. And the reason I do that, I don't like to cut it off right at the crimp, because that's a very short tail. What if it pulls out and then your necklace is broken? So there is my strung strand. I can put that to the side. And let's pull out the others. Pull out all of those other strands I had. I just dropped my phone on the floor. It's not going the way I like. Put that up here. Okay, out of the way. Okay, so here is my other strung strand. I'm going to go ahead and put that on some crimps as well, but I think I'm going to do that off camera, or this is going to get very, very long. Then I'll show you how to finish everything else up. How's that? Be back in a snap. Okay, here it is. Here's our 5-strand necklace. Yay! So now I'm going to show you how to put the clasp on, put everything together. And I started to just use a lobster clasp, but instead I think we're going to make our clasps, and we're going to put an extender chain on. Just because, why not? So first thing that we're going to do is make the loop that's going to that hook's going to go into. So I'm going to take about, actually I have a piece of extra wire over here. It only takes about 3 inches of 20 gauge wire. And I have so many little pieces of wire. Yay! So I can use that. So we're going to start by making a loop that's going to house our little hook that's going to hold our necklace together when we put it on our neck. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a loop that's going to connect all of these little pieces together. So let's start with that. So I'm going to go down about 1 inch, and I'm going to bend my wire back. I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to go about almost halfway down my wire because I want it to be a decent sized loop so that it can house all of these strands. I'm going to go all the way halfway down my wire. Give myself a nice loop. Just like so. All of these are going to go on there. That's going to be a tight fit, but it's going to work. Should I make it a little bigger just for ease? Why not? So I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way down my wire or my loop. Let's make it a little bigger. There we go. So it's a little bigger. Then I'm going to leave it like that because I don't want to close it up yet, because I want to put all of my strands on first. So there's that. And then I'm going to make a loop on the other side that's going to be for my hook. But I think just because I have extra wire and I have pretty beads, let's put a bead or 2 on there so that my clasp is as pretty as the rest of my necklace. Let's find a nice little bead. Oh, here's one. Use this one. So I'm going to put this little bead on. And then I'm going to bend my wire back, grab my round nose pliers, make another nice big loop. This is a really big one. As a matter of fact, I think I'll make this, I'll make this the loop that my hook goes through, and I'll make this the loop that holds all of my strands. So I'm going to go all the way to the back of my pliers with my wire. I'm going to bring that wire over the top of my pliers and around and down to the side until it can't go any further because the bead is in the way. I'm going to open my pliers up, rotate them back, clamp back down, and bring the wire under the pliers until I have a nice big loop. There we go. So now the little loop I can go ahead and wrap because that's what's going to go, what my hook goes through. So I can go ahead and close that up. But first, didn't I say something about an extender chain? Yes, I did. Let's go ahead and put my chain on. It's going to slide the last loop of my chain on down into the loop of my loop, the open loop, and I'm going to cut off what I want. Now I'm only going to give myself about 4 inches of extender chain. It doesn't need to be that long, and I'm just going to eyeball it. Give myself about 3-4 inches. That should be enough to extend it to the length that I want. Then I can make my necklace a little longer. I can either hook it up here, or I can hook it up here, or I can hook it in one of these little links, either one. Now that I have my extender chain on, I'm going to grab the face of my loop and wrap the tail around between the pliers and the bead that I put on for decoration. And again, I only need about 2 wraps. Put that around and then push that end down, the little tail down, until it rests against the other wires. So it's not going to scratch me or anything. There we go. And now I'm going to attach my little beads. So I'm going to start from the center, the centermost strand. I'm going to slide that on. Then I'm going to go to the next one, slide that on. Oops, you know what? I'm doing it backwards. Start from the outside. Slide that on first, because I want that on the outside. And then the next one. And then the next one. Until I get all the way in to the center. And now I can close my loop up. Grab my flat pliers, hold on to the face of my loop, and wrap it. Or I can hold it with my fingers, whichever works better. Let's wrap that around 2 times. And then clip off the extra wire. Hold on to that tail because you don't want it to go flying off to parts unknown. And push that wire down, the tail of the wire down so that it doesn't scratch you or anything. Nice and close. There we go. And there's one side. With my little extender chain. Now let's go to the other side. Now what I'm going to do, because this one has a little ball on the back, which I think is very pretty. Just has a little ball on it. And I've seen that on bracelets too. So we're going to put a little ball on our extender chain. Do I want to do that now? Let's go ahead and do our hook for our clasp, and then we'll add the ball on the extender chain. So we're just going to make a really, really easy peasy, simple hook for our clasp. So what I'm going to do is just go down about 1.25 inches or so down from the end of my wire, and I'm going to bend it over until the short and the long wires meet. Just squeeze it with your fingers or with your pliers, whichever works better. Just squeeze it until both of my wires are side by side, as close as I can get. Nice and close. There. Nice and side by side, because this, if you want to use your extender chain, it needs to be able to go through the little loops. So you want it nice and tight. Okay, then I'm going to go down here to the bottom, and about 1/2 inch down, or up, I guess I should say, from the bottom of the, you know what, I'm going to put this over there so you're not looking at too many things. So about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the small tail of wire, I'm going to bend the wire up like so. Then I'm going to take my flat pliers and I'm going to hold on to both of my wires, hold them both together, and I'm going to wrap that tail around the stem, the long stem of wire, just a couple of times. Okay. I'm going to clip off that end. I like to make sure it's kind of bent in the direction that I want it to go before I clip. Makes it easier to push down the end. Okay, and then I'm going to clip off that little tail. Now, I always am wary about the little tail flying off in all directions. So I like to take something with a little well on it. You can put it down in here, but sometimes it bounces and flies back out. I like to put it down in some little something that is contained. So there's a little bit of, there's a little well here. So I'll turn it down in there and I'll put my hand over it, snip it off. And there it is, captured in the little well of my wire container. And then I'm going to push that little tail down nice and tight against the other wires. Neat. Now this little tail that's down here, I'm going to fold my hook over that so that it's not sticking out anywhere where it can do damage. Now I'm going to make a loop on the other end to attach to the other wires, but before I do, I think I'll put a bead on here too. We put a bead on the hook, and that's pretty. So why not put a bead? I mean, we put a bead on the loop. Let's put a bead on the hook. Let's see. What have I got here? What have I got? What have I got? What have I got? What have I got? Ooh, pretty. Let's use that one. Okay. slide that on. Oh, straighten it out. Straighten, straighten, straighten. This bead is drilled very small and it does not like bends. Oh, is it going to work? Yes. Ooh, that's going to be pretty. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to bend my wire off to the side like so. I'm going to make another large loop because it has to accommodate all of my strands. So I'm going to go back here to the back. I'm going to bring up the tail of my wire across and over my plier jaw and around until it can't go any further because the bead is in the way. Then without taking the wire out, I'm going to open up my pliers. I don't want to move my wire. I'm going to rotate the pliers back, clamp back down, and bring the tail of that wire under until I have a nice loop. I'm going to leave that alone because I need to attach that to my strands. Now I'm going to make my hook. So here's where the tail of that tail end of that wire is. I want my hook to go over that. Strategic planning. So I'm going to bend my wire back away from where that little end is. I'm going to take my pliers, or you can take any round thing. Depends on how big you want your hook to be. I'm going to go to the back of my pliers because that's big enough. And I'm right there at the bottom of my 2 strands of wire. I'm going to push my wire over my pliers all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way until I have a hook. Yay! Are we finished with that? No. You know why? Because we want to go down here to the bottom with the tip of our pliers. Just slide it down here at the bottom of our hook. And we're going to give it a little, oops, sorry about that. We're going to give it a little tweak. We're just going to tweak it up just like so. So now we have our hook. Isn't that pretty? Yay. And now we can attach. I was hoping that I didn't scoot anything out of the way. Now we're going to attach our strands to a hook. Can you see this? Can you see? Can you see? Let me do this. Okay. So starting with the last one, I'm going to slide that in onto my hook. And the next one goes in. Wait, no, the other way. On that side, it was the last one first. On this side, it's the first one, the innermost one first. So that goes in first, and then the second one, and then the third one. Then the fourth one, and the fifth one. Yes. And now, get in there. You're supposed to be inside the loop. Thank you. And now let's close our loop. All of my little strands are nicely housed inside. Let's wrap it up, grabbing the face of my open loop. I'm going to wrap my tail around. There we go. Wrap the tail around between the pliers and the bead. 1 time, 2 times. If you want to go 3 times, that's up to you. I'm stopping at 2. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Oh man, I must be slap happy at this point. Okay, let's go all the way around. Second wrap. And then clip off the end. Make sure nothing else gets clipped. Like to hold on to everything, hold them all out of the way. Grab that little end, get my little wheel, snip that off. See, there it is. Nice, neat and tidy. And then push down that rough edge there. Close as I can get it, nice and snug. There we go. Come on. Nice and snug for me. Get that twisted. There. It didn't want to comply. There. There it is, there it is, there it is. And the only thing I have left is to put a little ball on the end of my extender chain. Now you don't have to do that. I'm just doing it because it's on this one. And I like the ball. I like the little ball. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these little guys, these little silver balls. And a little piece of wire, doesn't need to be much. I just need, I could actually put it on there with a eye pin, but I'd rather wrap it, I think. In fact, yeah, here's some wire that's already out and ready to be used. And snip off about 2 inches is all we really need, not even that. Let's make a little loop in the back. Make my loop. Put my ball on. Notice I didn't close that. Actually, you know what? I really do need to use a, I'm going to use a head pin because I can make a head pin, but that's just more stuff. So I'm gonna get a head pin. I'll be right back. Don't go away. Don't leave me. Coming right back. Just need a head pin. That's all I need. Head pin, head pin, head pin. Just need a little. Not one of these really important. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take a little head pin, slide it on my bead. Make a little loop. I don't even have to wrap this unless I want to. Slide it on my chain, the very last loop. Okay, slide my little loop, my little chain loop down inside the open loop of my head pin. Some nice strong wire I've got here. There we go. And I think I will go ahead and wrap it around once before I cut it off, just because I've got enough wire to do it. May as well. Okay. That end off. Well, wrap that off of there. Push down the end. And there's my extender chain. All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our necklace. Isn't that pretty? I love it. And I think it is comparable to this store-bought one. If I can get it untangled, so I can show it to you again. Except that we made our own nice little clasp, a beaded clasp that they don't have on here. What do you think? I think we did a very nice job. That is lovely. I am very proud of us today. Now I have two of these. Oh, I know my sister's going to be after this. I don't care. I'm going to hide it. Isn't that neat? And besides, she's in Ohio. She can't get to it. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I love it. I think it's absolutely stunning and beautiful. And now I have two. Sorry, I'm knocking things over trying to get to my little display. Ooh, that is very pretty. I must say so myself. And I must because I'm the only one here. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Okay, I'm going to show it to you on the display. Okay, here it is. Isn't that neat? I love it. Oh my gosh, it is really, really comparable to this, I think. It's not as dark. This has a lot more dark beads in it. But this has all of the elements. It's got the little dangle beads. It's got the extended longer beads. It's got the metals and the crystals and the glass and the everything. It's got everything. This is a fall/winter statement piece. I love it. It will go with everything. We did it. Yay. I have been looking every time I pull this out. I love it. I go, oh, I wish I had another one of those, or I wish I had time to make one. And now we did. I don't know how long this video is. I hope it doesn't scare everybody away. It's not hard. It's just a lot of strands. Do one strand, go off, do another strand another day, do another strand another day, and you'll have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful necklace. Isn't that neat? Okay, anyway, that's our program for today, and we will have another one soon. I have another idea of something that I want to do already, that I need to go ahead and get put together so that I can have it ready for you. I can't stop looking at it. Neat. Okay, anyway, that's it. I'm sorry. I hope this isn't too long and involved, but I really got into this one. I really like it. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I can see lots of reflection coming off of these glasses. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know one way or the other. Get in touch with me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRY GIN20 at gmail.com. I love to hear from you. I love to see what you make. Now that we have classes opening up in person, I love it when somebody walks in the classroom wearing a necklace or a bracelet or a pair of earrings that came from one of these tutorials. It just makes my day. I've missed it so much for 2.5 years. I am glad that we are sort of starting to get back into things. So please send me pictures, those of you who aren't in the area and can't come to classes. I would really love to see what you do. I would love to hear what you think. I would love any feedback that you want to give to me. If there was anything you didn't understand, please ask questions. If I can answer them, I will do so most happily. But until next time, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy your weekend, and until then, until I see you again, or you see me again, so long. Bye-bye.